it's going to be in a box and it's going to be empty, so it's not like...
Hello everybody and welcome to the Penelope Possum channel with me, your hostess Penelope the Possum.
It's not like I'm going to be putting ammo in it to get...
We're going to be reacting to some Dr. Bob real quick.
Two teenagers cautiously approach an
I
old,
won't be
decrepit house.
Streaming
The
on
house
this
looks like it was
Thursday,
built hundreds of years ago.
unfortunately.
From the outside, it appears to be in a serious state of
Technically, the paperwork for it will be in my name, but
because
you can legally get firearms as gifts in South Carolina without...
I have a party to go to on Thursday. And we're just reacting tonight because I have to work tomorrow. And I'll be honest, I'm kind of bugging about it. Everything's fine. I just got work tomorrow and not super excited about that, I guess. And
Yeah, it has been like...
got a party to go to the day after that. It's just, I got a busy schedule.
The walls are cracked and weathered. The roof looks to have holes in it, and one of the decorative columns has completely collapsed.
Of course, we're gonna watch some
Teenagers
Dr.
have heard
Bob.
rumors about this dilapidated home, though, and they have heard there are riches still to be found inside. One of the teens starts walking up the stairs onto the porch, but his friend seems reluctant to follow. Is he sure that no one lives here? The braver of the teens tells his friend that he's been watching the house for days and hasn't seen anyone come in or out. The only signs of life have been a very faint light visible between the cracks of the house's boarded-up windows, and he's not even sure if he actually saw any lights or not. If there is anyone in there, it's just some crazy old person. They can easily scare them off and loot the house at their
No one's
leisure.
excited about work?
His friend still
That's
doesn't
fair.
look sure, but the other teen proceeds to take out a lockpick. He tells his friend to keep a lookout while he works on the door. He doesn't need to keep watch for long, though, since the lock almost immediately opens with a loud click. He opens the door carefully, but it still squeaks loudly. Through the crack, he can't see much of anything inside. It looks very dark. "Come on," he tells his friend as he slips inside. His friend looks nervous as he watches his friend disappear into the house. Suddenly, there's a loud crash. "Oh no, we've been caught," he thinks as he spins around.
Shit.
But he doesn't see a police officer coming to arrest them or a nosy passerby. Instead, he watches as a cat chases a rat into some trash cans, knocking more of them over. He breathes a sigh of relief as he watches the cat come out of the pile of trash, holding its prey limply by the tail. He turns to follow his friend into the house, but is stopped when the door snaps shut in his face. He tries the doorknob, but it's locked. He taps quietly on the door. No response. He taps a little louder, whispering, "Hey, what's going on?" But still no response. What is going on? Inside, his friend is also pulling on the doorknob, but it's no use. The door won't budge, and the lock won't turn. He also tries tapping lightly on the door, but there's no signs from outside that anyone has heard him. He's trapped. He looks around the darkened room. Just like the outside, the interior looks like it hasn't been updated in hundreds of years. Dust and cobwebs are everywhere, like no one has set foot inside in decades. And yet, on several small tables and shelves around the room, are lit candles. With no other option, he decides to move deeper into the house. He creeps into the next room, which is in much the same condition as the first, dusty and old, but with several candles placed around that give off just the faintest amount of flickering yellow light. Not only does someone still live here, but they've lit these candles recently. He takes a folding knife out of his pocket and opens it, holding the blade out in front of him. Just then, he hears something, a noise like footsteps, and it sounds like it's coming from upstairs in the room right above him. They might be coming down to look for him. He needs a place to hide. He spots a sofa near the corner and tries to get down behind it as much as possible. As he grips the edge of the sofa with one hand, he suddenly drops his knife to the floor and uses his now free hand to stifle a scream. He looks at the hand that was just gripping the sofa and sees a long sewing needle plunge deep into his hand. Was this stuck into the couch? He pulls the needle out of his hand. It nearly went all the way through, and holds the bloody wound up to his mouth, trying to stop the flow of blood as he waits and listens. The the sound of footsteps finally stop. Whoever is walking around, it doesn't sound like they're coming down the stairs to find him. He has to get out of this house, though. There must be another way out. He picks up his knife and quietly moves to the next room. Once again, it's in the same condition as the last. But wait, what's that in the corner? Is that a person lying there? Outside the house, his friend is looking through the same trash that he saw the cat hunting in. Aha! Just what he was looking for, an old wire hanger. He runs back to the old house, untwists it, and inserts the thin wire into the lock. Inside, the trespassing teen gets closer and closer to the thing in the corner. It's so dim, though, with the only light coming from the candles, that he still can't make out what it is. But he feels strangely compelled to find out. He picks up one of the candles off of a nearby table. Outside, he still can't get the lock open, but he's got to keep trying. He can't leave his friend trapped inside. He's standing right over the thing in the corner now. He kneels down and brings the candle close to see what it is, and screams. His friend throws down the hanger in frustration before sitting down on the porch. He can't figure out why his friend was able to open the lock so easily, and now it won't move. Did something in the mechanism break? He doesn't know what he's going to do, though. Should he call for help? The police will arrest them both if he does. How long should he wait, though? It feels like his friend has been stuck for a long time, and he hasn't heard anything from inside. What could possibly be happening in there? Should he just leave and hope that his friend is able to escape on his own? Just as he is wondering what to do, he hears a click behind him. He turns around and tries the door handle, but it's still locked. He looks down and sees the wire hanger. Maybe he'll give it one more try. He sticks the hanger into the lock and hears the lock pop open almost instantly. He tries the door handle, and this time, the door swings open. He stands there looking through the cracked door into the dark house. He's terrified at the thought of going inside, but he can't leave his friend in there. If he's in trouble, then he has to save him. Gathering up all of his courage, he enters the house and sees the same thing his friend did, a dusty old room. He takes a step into the candle-lit room and freezes. There's something in the middle of the room. It's a chair that's turned away from him, but he can see that someone is sitting in it. But wait, is that his friend? Hey, he calls in a loud whisper, but his friend doesn't respond. Come on, let's get out of here. Still no response.
Yeah, neither.
He starts walking toward his friend, but stops when he hears what sounds like footsteps coming from the room above him. He's got to get his friend and get out of this house. He checks over his shoulder to make sure the door is still open before starting to quietly move towards his friend again. He's close enough that he can reach out and shake his shoulder, but his friend doesn't react. He walks around to the front of the chair and sees his friend. Except it's no longer his friend. Staring back at him are two empty eye sockets. His mouth has been pulled back by stitches of thread into a horrifying permanent grin. But worst of all is what he hears. It's the sound of the front door slamming shut. Привет! Today's file is a special one and comes from the Russian branch of the SCP Foundation. It's SCP-1098-RU, also known as the Theater of Living Puppets. SCP-1098-RU is a two-story house located in a small Russian city which appears to have been constructed in the Baroque style, which was popular in the 17th and 18th centuries, and is characterized by its exuberant details. The house is likely several hundred years old and is in an advanced state of disrepair. The local government administration has marked the house for demolition multiple times, but for reasons that remain unknown, these plans are always scrapped or indefinitely delayed. All of the doors that lead into SCP-1098-RU are locked, and the windows are all boarded up. Anyone who attempts to damage the house, even just by removing the boards from the windows, will experience an odd anomalous effect that compels them to instead protect the structure and cause it no harm. This effect only wears off when the subject moves at least 50 meters away from the house. The only way to enter SCP-1098-RU is through the front door, which, even though it is locked, is easily able to be picked open, which causes no harm to the house and prevents the anomalous effect from overcoming the subject trying to gain entrance. Once someone has entered the house, they will find that the door closes behind them and locks itself. The lock cannot then be picked open again for 1 hour. The interior of the house matches the exterior stylistically, also appearing to have been designed in the Baroque style and in a poor condition. The house is quite dark since there are no electric lights present, and all of the windows are boarded up, blocking any outside light. The only illumination comes from the lit candles that are placed around the house, which appear to be constantly replaced and lit again when they burn out. The sound of slow footsteps can be heard inside the house, though the room they are coming from seems to change. The entity producing the sounds has been classified as SCP-1098-RU-1, and it is thought that it is also responsible for the placing and relighting of candles around the house, as well as several other anomalous effects. The Russian branch of the SCP Foundation first became aware of potential anomalous activity related to SCP-1098-RU after the disappearance of multiple teenagers was linked to the location. In interviews, many of their friends and family reported that their last known locations were near the site of the old Baroque-style home, and several had expressed a desire to investigate the house before they disappeared. Local police investigated the house, which only led to them disappearing as well. After learning of the strange activity connected to the house, the Foundation took over the investigation, planting a cover story that totalitarian sects were responsible for the disappearances, while Class A amnestics were administered to all relatives of the missing teens. The Foundation immediately began investigating the house, but carefully, since they had already seen how easily people could go missing inside. In the first excursion into the house, a remotely controlled robot fitted with a camera was sent inside. Just like when a person enters, the door closed and locked behind the robot, but its camera feed continued to broadcast images to the researchers outside. As the robot explored the rundown house's rooms, it found something much more disturbing than just lit candles. In several of the rooms, corpses were discovered, which were later identified as being some of the missing teenagers.
Jeez.
All of the bodies found had their eyeballs removed, and thick threads had been sewn into their arms and legs, as if they had been turned into giant living puppets. Some of them also had stitches in their chest and face areas. The face stitches appear to have been made to force the face to have a certain expression, while the chest stitches may indicate that organs had been removed. No signs of decomposition were present, though, despite some of the bodies likely being many months old. Several objects were also found next to the bodies, including surgical knives, needles, thread, and at least one artificial eye. Exactly 1 hour after the robot entered the house, the camera ceased broadcasting images and all contact was lost. For the second excursion into the house, the Foundation decided that a human being would be more effective at gathering information than a robot. A Class D personnel was given a flashlight, a camera, and a radio, and sent on a mission to attempt to remove objects from the house and to locate the robot from the first research mission. The D-Class entered the house, and researchers noted that from what they could see on the video feed, that the layout of the house hadn't changed.
You know, there are some theories about what D-Class are, like where they come from.
Candles were still present around the room, though it was clear that they had been replaced by fresh ones. As the D-Class explored the first floor of the house, he reported that he could hear footsteps coming from different parts of the house. And on one occasion, that they sounded like they were coming from a room he had just left. But when he returned to that room, no one was present. He wasn't able to locate the missing robot, but did find the same corpses that the robot had. He was ordered by the researchers to pick up one of the surgical knives and try bringing it out of the house. But the moment he picked it up, all contact was lost.
The main
a
theory
third
of
mission
what,
into the house
where
was then
D-Class
tried, this time with another remotely controlled robot, though this one was more advanced and equipped with a thermal imager and audio recording equipment. This robot was also better suited for exploration and was capable of climbing stairs so that the Foundation could finally find out what was on the second floor of this strange house. The robot entered the home and ascended to the second floor. As it explored the rooms, it found one particularly strange one that appeared to be operating as a kind of sewing workshop, with huge amounts of thread, needles, and other sewing supplies spread across multiple tables. Dark red stains covered many of the tables, but no bodies were discovered in the sewing room. The robot continued to explore the second floor, though, and soon discovered many more corpses, accounting for nearly all of the missing teenagers, the police that had vanished, as well as the missing D-Class personnel. All of them had been dressed in 18th century style clothing, and their eyes had been removed and replaced with artificial ones, giving them a perpetual glassy-eyed stare. Long, thick threads had been sewn into their arms and legs as well. The sound recording equipment on the robot captured the same sounds of footsteps that the D-Class had reported, but the thermal imager didn't locate any signs of life. The researchers decided to call an end to the experiment and began guiding the robot back out of the house. But just as it reached the front door, the connection was lost, and the robot has never been located. One final expedition
where
into
the
the home was
robots
approved, this time using another D-Class personnel, whose mission was to explore the entire house, including the second floor, before attempting to leave the home. The D-Class entered the home as normal, but immediately reported feeling a strange feeling that the other D-Class hadn't mentioned. He told the researchers listening that he was experiencing an intense headache and pressure in his ears, and that he could hear what sounded like someone crying in another room. None of the equipment picked up the crying sounds, and the D-Class was ordered to investigate further. He approached the room that he claimed the sound was coming from, but still nothing was detected on the audio recording equipment. He was ordered to enter the room, and though he seemed scared and reluctant, eventually he did so. Once inside, he reported seeing a young girl wearing an 18th century style dress. The girl was dancing, but crying as she did so. Just like on the corpses that had previously been found inside the house, threads were connected to her arms and legs, but these ones were pulled tight and stretched up towards the ceiling. The D-Class followed their path up, but they disappeared into the darkness, reporting that it looked like there was no ceiling at all, just an inky black void where something was manipulating the strings attached to the girl, forcing her to dance. None of these visuals reported by the Class D could be seen on the video feeds the researchers were watching. As far as they could see, he was staring into an empty room. The D-Class was ordered to continue watching this strange recital, though, and after 5 minutes, all of the communication devices ceased working. The video feed was lost too, but the audio continued to record for a few more seconds, during which time a sharp clap noise was heard. The D-Class began screaming as a deep male voice spoke a phrase in Latin. Et perficiendi sit pretium. The performance must be paid for. No further signs of the D-Class were ever found. SCP-1098-RU has since been fenced off to prevent the general public from being able to enter it. A patrol team of 4 security guards is always on site, and anyone who attempts to gain entry to the house is to be detained, interrogated, and administered Class B amnestics. Additional research into SCP-1098-RU is ongoing, but requires approval from at least 2 members of the O5 Council, and to date, no further expeditions inside this anomaly, which has been given the object class Euclid, have been authorized. A storm rages outside of the little old house, as inside, a little old woman bounces a little baby on her little old knee. The baby coos and laughs as the old woman makes funny faces and noises for the child, trying to keep it entertained as they wait for his parents to return from their much-needed night out by themselves. The old woman herself needs a rest now, though. She's forgotten how exhausting it can be to watch a child. Okay, that's enough. It's time for both of us to take a little nap before your parents get back. She gets up and takes the baby into a nearby room that looks as though it was a nursery at one time, but it hasn't been used for many years. As she goes to set the child into the crib, a strong gust of wind blows
I don't think most people
through the room.
would. It's a
She places the baby down and
horrifying
rushes to the
job.
window and closes it shut. It must have been left cracked open by mistake. Brr. The room is cold from the wind, but she has just the thing to fix that. She moves to a small closet and opens the creaky door. The little old woman strains to reach up to the top shelf and feels around. Ah, there it is. She pulls down a baby blanket, a soft baby blue with colorful animals printed on it. It looks as though it's been up there for a long time, and she gives it a good shake before walking back to the crib. Look what we have here. It's your daddy's own blankie. She gives it another shake. There we go, good as new. She leans into the crib and wraps the small helpless child in the blanket before giving him a gentle kiss on the forehead. Now you get some sleep. Your mommy and daddy will be back before you know it, and we want to show them what a good babysitter Grammy is, don't we? That way I get to see you all the time. The little old woman switches off the light and exits the room, leaving the door cracked just a few inches. She heads back to the couch and plops down on it. Almost as soon as she does, though, the baby starts crying.
That's how babies do.
With a sigh, she gets back up and goes back to the nursery. What's the matter, little dear? She says as she turns the lights on. Oh no, she rushes to the crib. You've kicked your blanket off. You must be freezing. She grabs the blanket from the end of the crib and tucks it around the baby once again. There you go, that's better. The old woman leaves the room and quietly closes the door shut, leaving it open just a few inches. The moment she turns around to go back to the couch, though, the crying starts again. With a sigh, she opens the door and goes back into the room. Once again, the blanket is stuffed at the end of the crib where the baby has kicked it off. Fine, don't want a blanket? That's fine. She picks the baby up out of the crib and rocks him in her arms until it stops crying. She sets him back in the crib. There you go. No blankets, just please get some sleep. Grammy's tired." The old woman takes the blanket out of the crib and leaves the room. She closes the door most of the way and, incredibly,
Carnivorous
this time the
blankets.
child remains silent. The old woman resumes her place on the couch and starts to yawn. Just as she does, the wind outside picks up and howls loudly. The old woman shivers. She looks next to her and spots the baby blanket. She picks it up and examines the cute animal print, remembering when her own son was a baby wrapped in it.
Oh,
She smiles at the happy
Bye,
thought
Thorn.
and throws the blanket around her shoulders. She leans back on the couch and finds that her eyes are growing very heavy. She'll rest them for just a moment. She won't fall asleep. She'll just rest. "Mom, it's us. We're back. Thanks again for..."
jeez.
The couple both scream when they enter the house to find that the old woman is lying face down on the floor in a pool of blood. The source of the blood is obvious. Chunks of flesh from her shoulders and upper back have been torn out, leaving jagged holes, as
God,
if she
that
were
has
mauled
to
by
be
an
a
animal.
terrifying thing to come
As the man runs to
home
the old
to.
woman, trying to do anything he can to help her, the woman runs to the nursery to find that the baby is sleeping peacefully in his crib. The woman picks up the child, tears streaming down her cheeks, and returns to the living room to see her husband kneeling beside his dead mother. Both the husband and wife are so shocked by what they have found that neither notices the baby blanket lying on the couch, or that the cruel, blood-covered mouth on it is slowly fading from view until it disappears completely. There is little in life that is more comforting than a favorite blanket. Perhaps you've had the same one since you were a child, or you have a heavy one that
Yeah.
you like to wrap yourself in when you're feeling down, or
Just
maybe it's just
suddenly-
one that's especially fluffy and warm that you'd do anything to keep. Today's anomaly plays on those very feelings, using them against its victims to become one of the more insidious predatory anomalies in the SCP Foundation archives. This
Also,
is
I like how we can never,
SCP-799,
ever really
also known
see
as the carnivorous
what
blanket.
Dr. Bob looks like.
SCP-799
We
is a
can
type of creature
speculate.
that can vary in shape, size, and appearance, but, as the name implies, always takes the form of a blanket of some kind. The exact material the anomaly is made out of is unknown, but it is a very soft fiber that in many ways resembles a high-quality merino wool blend, though one that retains heat even more effectively than its natural counterpart. SCP-799's weight can vary from between half a kilogram all the way to 6 kilograms, and while examples have been found in nearly every color imaginable, it seems predisposed towards pastels and will frequently have patterns featuring stylized, friendly depictions of various animals. Both the pastel colors and the childish patterns are especially common in instances of SCP-799 that weigh less than
You
2
wonder what it
kilograms
looks like?
and would colloquially
Well,
be known as
we know he's
baby
a white
blankets.
guy with brown
While
hair,
SCP-799
so
is
it's very
undoubtedly a
likely
living
he has
organism,
brown
there is some
eyes.
debate as to whether it is itself an animal or perhaps a type of fungal colony. Instances of 799 are incapable of locomotion, lying motionless for long
Beyond
periods of
that,
time,
it's not
and
really
require
more
little in the way of
easy
nutrition.
to understand.
What small amount they do need, they appear to be able to gain almost entirely from the organic particles present in normal household dust, such as
No.
animal dander and dead human skin cells. The blanket feeds via a series of minute, filter-feeding mouth-like structures that are spread across the surface of the creature, which wait for nutrients to fall into them, not unlike a sponge on the ocean floor. Instances of SCP-799 can survive for quite a while in this state, and one specimen was noted as having lived for multiple years in a damp attic, subsisting entirely on the small organic particles
Yeah?
that would drift down from the rafters
Yeah.
above. Should an instance of SCP-799 be forced to go for long periods of time without a source of nutrition, though, like when, for example, it is placed inside of a sealed closet or drawer, it will begin to undergo certain physical changes, which result in it metamorphosing into its predatory form. These changes aren't noticeable from only casual observation and consist of the blanket converting its many filter-feeding mouths into a single, large one that is lined with multiple rows of extremely sharp teeth. The
how
blanket
that
creature
works.
also develops a new form of tissue inside its cloth-like structure, one that is similar to muscle and capable of contracting and squeezing. Once its metamorphosis is complete, the instance of SCP-799 will lie in wait for an unsuspecting creature to cover themselves with it or wrap it around their body. Once they do, the blanket will bide its time until they enter a state of rest, usually waiting for them to fall asleep entirely, at which point its feeding phase will begin. Once the creature has detected that its victim is dormant, it will use its newly formed muscle to latch onto them, holding them in place as it opens its tooth-lined maw. It will begin to bite at its confined prey, tearing off several kilograms of flesh, bone, and any other organic material it can, swallowing it and converting it into a thin slurry that it spreads through its body almost immediately. This traumatic, violent process nearly always leads to the victim dying of blood loss.
God.
Within 10 minutes of the attack, the mouth on SCP-799 will have been
So that
completely
just shows you
reabsorbed,
guys,
leaving no
make
signs that
sure
it
to
is
leave
anything
any
other than a
baby
normal,
blankets out
everyday
where they can
blanket,
get plenty
the
of
one which now
nutrients,
mysteriously
just
weighs
in
several
case.
kilograms more than it did before. By 40 minutes after the attack, the entire digestive system within SCP-799 will have demetamorphosed back into its original form, with a single digestive tract being changed once again to the many dispersed filter-feeding mouths. While SCP-799 is more than happy to feed on any warm-blooded animal, including humans, it shows no interest in cold-blooded ones or inanimate objects. It appears then that its senses may be limited to only touch and heat, using those as signs that it is now wrapped around a potential meal. Adding to the strangeness of SCP-799 is that it reproduces through budding, like flatworms and corals. When it has absorbed enough nutrients and sufficiently increased its mass, either very slowly through filter feeding or rapidly via its carnivorous phase, it will begin to take on a quilt-like appearance. Over several weeks, one of the quilt squares will puff up and slide off the blanket. This new, smaller instance
From Evangelion wearing it.
Because fuck you, that's
will resemble
why.
a doily or a throw
Doesn't
pillow
she deserve
until
a nice
it too
blanket?
begins to feed and grow.
Even if it's
The new instance is a perfect
carnivorous.
clone of its parent,
No, she doesn't.
identical
Well,
in every way, and it
Then
will eventually
let's
grow to
hope
a
that
similar
it
size and
turns
begin its
into the
own
evil
reproductive
version
cycle.
of the blanket then.
It is
yeah?
unknown exactly how long it takes SCP-799 to reach full maturity, but the current best guess is that when kept in its filter-feeding phase, an instance will reproduce every 50 to 60 years. Instances of SCP-799 are quite prevalent across the planet, and the SCP Foundation currently has hundreds of examples in containment. Unfortunately,
Much cat
it is
hair on my
unknown
mic.
just how many still exist in the wild, as it is very difficult to identify instances, with one of the only reliable means being through genetic testing. Should any instances be located, though, they are to be destroyed immediately, as the Foundation already has a large enough population in containment for research purposes, and they pose too much of a risk both in terms of harm and exposure to the general public. SCP-799 has been classified as Euclid, and each instance is kept in its own separate biocontainment cell at Biosite 66. Dust is regularly collected from the on-site D-Class personnel dorms and is sprinkled over the blankets regularly to keep them in their filter-feeding state, though only just enough to hopefully maintain their size and not allow them to reproduce. Should any small cloth objects appear in their containment lockers, it is to be removed immediately and contained separately. SCP-799 isn't the only predatory creature that resembles a cloth good in Foundation containment, and research into possible connections to SCP-1626, the oversized gray-hooded sweatshirt that sends penetrating fibers into anyone unlucky enough to put it on, is ongoing.
There's also the felt fairies. I don't think that's exactly what they're called, but they're these little cloth-like fairy creatures.
A pair of SCP Foundation researchers open the
Kind of
door of a
reminiscent
containment
of those
cell
old
and find themselves
floppy
staring at
cloth
something unlike
fairy
anything
dolls
they've
you'd
ever seen
find.
before. Sitting in the middle of the room is a giant lump that appears to be made of what can only be described as flesh. The two look at
Big
each
old
other in
tumor.
disbelief. Just what is this thing? They circle the huge blob, looking it over, wondering what on earth it could be. One of the researchers finally gets the courage to actually feel it. He finds that it's warm to the touch. And does he detect some slight movement? He slowly moves to place his ear against it to listen, but a sudden shudder from the mass sends him jumping back in fright. Just then, the other researcher calls to him from the other side of the sphere.
God,
It
the
sounds like he has
researchers
found
to
something.
declass everyone.
As he
no
approaches,
one's safe.
he too sees what caused his partner to call out. There, in the middle of this tumorous ball, is a door. It's a circular iron hatch, the kind sealed by a valve.
Only really anomalous.
it's open. Now the researchers are really confused.
Researchers
A
are
massive lump of living flesh
somewhat
is strange
safe.
enough, but why does it have a door? One of the researchers peeks inside.
I think this
Is that a
the
couch
living
they see?
room.
And a table? Does someone live in this thing? Things are getting beyond strange. The two researchers look up at the observation window where their supervisor is watching them. The supervisor does not hesitate. He nods at them, and the researchers know what they must do. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. The researcher who lost winces. He knew that coming to work at the SCP Foundation meant that he would be dealing with some strange, dangerous, and disgusting anomalies, but he never imagined he would have to climb inside a giant orb of meat. His partner opens the hatch all the way and offers a hand to help him, knowing he has no other option. The researcher steps inside. Inside, the air is hot, thick, and moist, like a cramped gym that's had too many bodies exerting themselves on a warm, humid day. He walks through the short entranceway, and his eyes adjust to the dim light to find that he's standing in the middle of a cozy little room. A single, small lamp on a table is giving off just enough light for him to see that the room is sparsely furnished, with a few pieces including a small couch and a twin bed. Outside, his partner calls to him, asking what he can see. As the researcher turns to answer, the door snaps shut. The valve spins on its own, locking itself tight. Try as he might, the researcher can't get it to budge. He bangs on the door and yells, "Is he all right in there? Is everything okay?"
Nope.
His only response is a muffled scream from inside the ball of flesh. He keeps pulling at the door, twisting the valve with all of his strength, but it won't move.
Not human.
The sounds of gurgles and wet sloshing come from inside the meaty growth. An alarm starts to sound as he strains against the door, exerting himself so hard that he feels like a vein in his head might burst. Suddenly, the valve loosens, and the sudden lack of resistance causes him to fall to the floor. The valve spins on its own, and the door swings open once again. The ball of flesh is quiet
That sounds
once
nasty,
more.
warm and gooey.
The researcher picks himself
Yeah.
up off the ground and slowly, carefully, peeks inside. "Hello? Are you okay? Is anyone in there?" There's no response. That is, until a blast of hot air comes rushing out of the hatch, blowing the researcher's hair back. When it's over, he peeks inside again. His fellow researcher is nowhere to be seen. Inside is the same couch, bed, and table with a small lamp. But there's something new there, too. Across from the couch, where there was nothing before, is a small television. While this may seem strange, it's just another day at the SCP Foundation, where anomalous objects and creatures are studied and contained, including SCP-002,
a shadow.
also known as the Living Room. SCP-002 is the designation given to a large, tumorous, fleshy growth. It's roughly spherical, with a circumference just over 15 meters, giving it an estimated volume of around 60 meters cubed. Located on one side is an iron valve hatch, similar to what might
And yes, a lot of SCP scientists
be
are
found on an old
themselves
submarine,
anomalies.
which leads into the interior of the ball. Those who step inside are surprised to discover a small room that resembles a low-rent studio apartment, complete with furniture and even a small window. Strangely, the outside of the ball of flesh shows no windows, and indeed no openings at all, save for the iron hatch. The furniture in the room displays no anomalous properties, though examination has revealed that the furniture appears to be constructed of sculpted bone, woven hair, and other biological substances, all coming from human bodies. Analysis of samples taken from the furniture has shown each to be constructed from independent and fragmented DNA sequences, several of which correspond to SCP research personnel who have been lost inside of SCP-002. To date, the Living Room has been responsible for 7 members of staff going missing.
She is fully
At the
allowed
same time,
to
during
do
the course of
bunny
its
kicks.
containment at the SCP Foundation, the room appears to have added multiple additional furnishings, including 2 lamps, a throw rug, a television, a radio, a beanbag chair, 3 books in an unknown language, 4 children's toys, and a small potted plant. Tests have been performed using a variety of non-human entities in order to see if they would provoke a similar response from SCP-002 to that of humans. Various lab animals, including those with close DNA to humans such as chimpanzees, have been placed in the room. But so far, all have failed to make the Living Room react. Human cadavers were also tested, but they too did not produce any effect. It is unknown what causes SCP-002 to engage in its behavior, but whatever process it uses to convert organic matter into furnishings seems to only be triggered by the presence of living human beings. SCP-002 was discovered in northern Portugal, following reports of an object falling from Earth's orbit. There, in the bottom of a small crater, was SCP-002. It was encased in a thick shell of rock, but the anomaly's fleshy exterior could be seen through cracks that were likely created by the impact. A local farmer was the first to spot the object falling to Earth and brought word of what he found to his village. At the same time, a Level 4 SCP Foundation agent stationed in the area detected elevated levels of radioactivity and traced the source back to the crater. An SCP collection squad led by General Mulhausen was dispatched to the impact site and quickly secured the area. Test subjects from the nearby village were recruited for initial analysis of the object, with 3 men being individually sent inside of SCP-002, all of whom disappeared. Having confirmed this anomaly's deadly properties, General Mulhausen then issued a Level 4A termination order that would apply to any local witnesses in order to ensure that no knowledge of the object reached the outside world. He then oversaw its transport to an SCP containment facility.
I forget his name.
As Foundation staff prepped SCP-002 for relocation, 4 members of the security personnel were seemingly mesmerized and drawn inside the object where they too disappeared. This was the first hint that SCP-002 possesses some form of subtle mind control, with the ability to influence humans into stepping inside of it. It was after these losses that it was first noticed that the object appeared to grow new furnishings, following someone disappearing inside. After these mishaps, General Mulhausen ordered all staff to wear hazmat suits when dealing with SCP-002, and following the General's own termination, SCP-002 was placed in containment at the secure facility where it currently resides. Due to the ongoing danger presented by SCP-002, the risk it poses to any who step inside of it, and the mind control abilities it possesses, it has been classified as Euclid. It is to remain connected at all times to a suitable power supply to keep it in a charging mode of some kind, which appears to make it more docile. In the event of a power outage, staff in the immediate area are to be evacuated and the object's containment cell emergency barrier is to be closed, sealing it off from the rest of the site. Once power is reestablished, strobing X-ray and ultraviolet lights are to be activated in the containment cell until SCP-002 is returned to its charging mode. Research teams investigating SCP-002 that will come within 20 meters of the object must consist of no fewer than 2 members. Personnel should also maintain physical contact with one another at all times to confirm that the other is present and not experiencing any feelings of confusion, dulled perception, or other forms of bewilderment that may lead to them entering the living room. No personnel at all below a Level 3 clearance are allowed inside of SCP-002, and any staff that have contact with the anomaly are to be escorted no less than 5 kilometers away and must undergo a 72-hour quarantine and psychological evaluation. SCP-002 is one of the oldest anomalies in the SCP Foundation database, but remains one of the least understood. Perhaps one day we'll understand what it is and why it was at one time sitting in the orbit of Earth. Did someone send it here, intending us to one day find it? Did it come here of its own volition? Or did we put it there ourselves, in an attempt to keep it away?
The investigator can't believe their eyes. The months of searching, the hours spent scouring through CCTV footage, and the days of combing the woods for any clue as to where the missing woman was.
Tell us.
The police have long since given up on the case when it lands on the PI's desk, their reputation for finding missing persons having reached the ears of a grieving father. The man's wife vanishes on the same day their daughter is born. His story is full of things that don't add up, like his wife mentioning their daughter, despite having only just been delivered, spoke in an adult's voice before the husband entered the room. It all sounds crazy, as does the notion that someone could just walk out of the hospital and off into the woods after hours of painful labor. But little does the investigator know, this search is only set to get stranger. The woods are meant to be desolate, utterly devoid of human life, save for the occasional hiker. Yet, right in front of them, stands a building that shouldn't be there. It contrasts heavily with the foreboding dark and towering trees, all garish pink and oversized lollipops in the front yard. It's real, though. That much is clear as the investigator steps closer and closer until they're walking inside. It's a candy store. The shelves are filled with rows and rows of open containers with every variety of sweet treats on display. If this wasn't so strange, it would almost make the investigator hungry. But any appetite quickly exits their body in an instant when their flashlight beam falls over a body, lying on the store floor under a pile of those gummy strawberries that get stuck to the roof of your mouth and lodged in your teeth when you chew them. The investigator doesn't even need to uncover the corpse to know they've found who they're looking for. The gown from the local hospital is enough to tell them. Suddenly, something moves behind the counter of the store, and the investigator's light quickly jumps over the source of it, causing them to yell at the appearance of a clown in the
Hey,
torchlight.
Jesus.
Well, hi there, hon. Welcome to Millie's Candy Shop.
The SCP Foundation has long been aware of an anomalous phenomenon that seems to affect the population in the state of Rhode Island. Seemingly at random, this inexplicable event will occur within newborn infants, regardless of where in the state delivery takes place. So far, the Foundation has been unable to determine a causality or even a common pattern among the affected births. They don't take place at one specific hospital, nor are they more likely to occur within close proximity to any determinable point of origin. Yet, frighteningly, any baby born in Rhode Island can potentially, without any early indicators to forewarn parents, suddenly start speaking in an adult, masculine-sounding voice. These events are classified under the designation of SCP-5986. Naturally, hearing a newly born child suddenly speaking moments after delivery can be frightening for expectant parents. Early reports of the incidents were dismissed by certain members of Foundation staff as being stress-induced auditory hallucinations experienced by new mothers as a result of intense labor. However, this theory was quickly disproven both by the specificity of the newborn speech patterns and the fact that the adult voice was heard by not just mothers post-labor, but spouses and hospital staff alike. Foundation researchers that ascribed to and advocated for the dismissive stress voices theory were sent to a mandatory workplace conduct and sexism sensitivity seminar and reassigned as a result. Given the abrupt and unpredictable occurrences of SCP-5986 events, the Foundation has seen fit to covertly station a number of its agents within maternity wards and centers throughout the state of Rhode Island. These operatives are embedded within the ranks of medical staff with the goal of administering amnestics to any civilians, be they parents, midwives, or other hospital workers, who bear witness to an SCP-5986 event. In order to prevent widespread knowledge of SCP-5986 or any panic that may occur should information reach the public, covert Foundation agents are authorized to use their cover story as medical staff in order to ensure any witnesses to an SCP-5986 event receive an appropriate dosage of amnestics in order to wipe their memories of the incident. Foundation agents posing as maternity ward staff have also gathered information about the state of the affected infants after an SCP-5986 event takes place. Through observing medical records and
probably
the
a good
results of the
idea.
standard tests performed by doctors after birth, the SCP Foundation has determined that newborn children affected by SCP-5986 suffer no residual side effects after the initial incident. By every observable measure, both medical and anomalous, they are unharmed and completely healthy. While at present none of the affected newborns have grown to adulthood, their medical records are being kept on file by the Foundation, with automated alerts set up should any of them be admitted to hospital with potentially anomalous symptoms in the future. While they can affect any child born in Rhode Island seemingly at random, the only known consistency of SCP-5986 events themselves is that they all follow the exact same sequence. Regardless of the gender assigned at the birth of the affected newborn, they will still produce the exact same masculine-sounding adult voice. Foundation audio engineering experts have conducted a thorough analysis of recordings of this voice, some even spending months poring over waveforms in order to try and match the exact inflection, tone, and accent to any other known recording. At present, the Foundation has been unable to determine who the voice belongs to. Theories have ranged widely, with some audio engineers speculating that whoever the original owner of the voice is, they must have spent the entirety of their life avoiding any form of audio recording device, leading to a lack of potential matches. Other specialists in the field of anomalous entities have expressed the belief that the voice heard during SCP-5986 events is being projected physically through newborns and isn't the actual speaking voice of another human being. All anyone can agree on, however, is that the voice uses no digital alteration, nor is it generated by artificial intelligence. However it is reaching the newborn children of Rhode Island, there is seemingly no electronic component to the voice, not being broadcast via radio waves or even using the internet. Another hurdle presented to those trying to determine the voice's origin is the lack of any other sound bites. All the Foundation has access to are the recordings from SCP-5986 incidents, and these all follow the same transcript, with little to no variation. The spoken words themselves always take the exact same form as well, that of an advertisement which is spoken aloud by newborns as follows.
What's up, parents? Hey, did you know that children have 3 times as many taste buds as you old folks? It's crazy. That's why you should take me down to Millie's Candy Shop so I can eat plenty of delicious, sweet goodness. And don't worry about packing on extra weight or getting cavities, as all of Millie's candy is 0 calorie with no sugar. That's right, 0 calories and no sugar. Maybe you parents will even want in on some of this action, huh? We'll see you there.
Following delivering this ad copy, the affected newborn will then wink and lose consciousness, signaling the conclusion of an SCP-5986 event. Naturally, as well as trying to determine the source of the voice and any potential harm SCP-5986 does to the children it affects, the SCP Foundation was also eager to ascertain the location of the aforementioned business, Millie's Candy Shop. An organized effort was carried out by Foundation web crawlers to scour the internet for any mention of a confectionery store operating in Rhode Island under the aforementioned name. There were 0 results found. Agents were dispatched to conduct interviews with members of the public in the area under the cover story of a marketing questionnaire. Unanimously, residents of Rhode Island all
Maybe it's an
consistently
alien
stated
speaking
that they've
some
never heard of
different
or
commercial?
visited anywhere called
That's a
Millie's
good
Candy
theory.
Shop. Another theory
maybe
started gaining
it's
traction among Foundation
an
researchers
alien
observing
that
the situation.
came to Earth, or
What if
some
the
anomalous
advertisement
human
originated
being
from a different point in time?
that
Detractors argued that the language and vernacular used were too close to modern-day spoken English for the message to have been somehow anomalously transmitted from the past. Still, determined to find a definitive
Be
answer,
transmitted
the
via
Foundation requisitioned the
psychoactive
entire
things or
documented
something.
history of Rhode Island, gathering up city charters that dated back to the very formation of the state itself. There was no written record of a Millie's Candy Shop having ever existed anywhere. The Foundation had been, thus far, unable to determine where the message heard during SCP-5986 was coming from. That is, until a web crawler, who had been tirelessly trawling through swathes of online data, found one of the first and only references to Millie's Candy Store anywhere on the internet. The source was an amateur blog written by Leah Hampton. Back on the 11th of March 2020, Leah Hampton had been assisting her wife Sarah during labor. Leah worked alongside Paula Gallagher, a midwife from the local hospital, and was able to successfully deliver the couple's son, Stein. Upon delivery, like several other Rhode Island newborns, Stein underwent an SCP-5986 incident. However, there existed no record of this in the Foundation's accounts of known occurrences of the anomaly. Normally, a
Dinner's
name
ready for
associated with an
consumption. Make sure to eat
SCP-5986
good.
event would have been immediately flagged by the Foundation's automated system, given that they kept a log of all the SCP-5986 incidents. However, because the Hampton son was delivered during an at-home birth, any record of the event was missed, and as a result, the 3 witnesses, Leah and Sarah Hampton and their assisting midwife, Paula Gallagher, did not receive subsequent amnestic treatment. As a result of this, Leah was able to document her experience of an SCP-5986 publicly on her blog titled Rhode Wyland. Although, owing to its low readership, the Foundation was able to contain the spread of this information once it had removed the website and successfully administered amnestics to the Hampton family, Ms. Gallagher, and a handful of people who owned computers that had accessed the Rhode Wyland domain through their browsers. However, one crucial piece of information
The fact
led
that
to the
her blog was so niche that they were easily able to find everyone who had accessed the site and administer amnestics is
Foundation archiving a
niche.
copy of Leah's blog post about the incident was the fact that her newborn son's SCP-5986 event differed slightly from the standard transcript that the Foundation had recorded before. This one came with directions to reach the elusive Millie's Candy Shop. The post
That's
itself
helpful.
opens by detailing what happened to Leah and Sarah Hampton directly after the birth of their son, Stein, having delivered the baby in the comfort of their own home. Leah even attributes the commenters on a previous blog post for recommending Paula Gallagher to be their at-home midwife. Once Sarah, Leah's wife, held Stein for the first time, the SCP-5986 incident was triggered. Leah recalls listening to her newborn son speaking in a deep voice, providing the location of Millie's Candy Store. Eager to capture her son's first words, Leah copied the directions down verbatim, Although, the SCP Foundation has been unable to find anything by following the written copy of these directions. Having copied down the directions, Leah kissed Sarah and swiftly exited their home. In the post itself, she acknowledges how people might perceive her leaving her wife and child only moments after Stein was born, and seems fully cognizant of the absurdity of her actions. Her written justification for her sudden departure seemed to stem from some uncontrollable compulsion to try the advertised zero-calorie candy for herself. Leah also exhibited a lack of ambivalence towards whoever Millie was, and instead seemed assured that the anomalous confectionery shop owner was reputable, despite her apparent preferred method of broadcasting advertisements through newborn infants. Following the directions she had noted down, Leah arrived at what she described as a cute, pink house situated in a nearby forest. Outside was a front garden. Rather than the type of flora commonly grown out front at a suburban home, this area was instead populated by oversized lollipops that seemed initially to have been stuck into the soil. Entering the candy shop itself, the interior and decor were exactly what Leah expected from a confectionery store, all the garish bright colors that evoked the kind of hyperactivity sweets caused. But Millie's had boasted all the good parts about candy without the high sugar content and all its risks, like cavities. It all sounded too good to be true, but yet something still compelled Leah to venture into the store and find out firsthand.
That cat
According to the
vibration.
archived post taken from Rhode Wyland before the blog's deletion, upon entering the store, Leah was quickly met with the only other occupant, that being Millie herself. Her description likened her to a circus clown on the count of wearing similar face paint. However, Leah Hampton's retelling of events includes no photographed evidence of Millie's appearance that the
For zero sugar, zero calorie candy, you'd write down the address and bolt to
Foundation
it.
could potentially use to
mean,
track her. Some
I
researchers
get it.
have pointed out that
It's
even if there were
tempting,
photos,
but remember,
certain
this is
configurations of
anomalous
makeup are known
candy.
to confuse facial recognition software, meaning that it would likely be impossible to accurately identify Millie. Whoever, or indeed whatever she was, the entity introduced itself as Millie and asked Leah what she wanted from the shop. Immediately, Leah recalled the advertisement's promises of zero-calorie candy, but was still unconvinced such a thing could exist. When asking Millie about it, the anomalous store's owner explained that everything stocked in her shop had no calories whatsoever, which is impossible through any known confectionery production methods, even using lower-calorie sugar alternatives. When quizzed on how exactly she was able to create candy without any calories, and that didn't contain high enough levels of sugar to cause cavities, Millie stated that her products were homegrown in her garden. Asking how she was able to grow candy, the anomalous store owner simply answered that she did so using candy seeds. The SCP Foundation has consulted numerous experts in biology, particularly in the field of botany, and all of their findings concur that there is no such thing as candy seeds, nor is it possible to grow candy in the way that plants are grown. It is worth noting that at no point throughout their exchange does Leah Hampton express any concern for how Millie used her newborn son Stein to broadcast her advertisements. At least as far as their conversation is recalled in the blog post, there is no mention of Sarah or Stein. Instead, Leah remains solely focused on the singular topic of discussion at hand, candy. However, Foundation behavioral analysts believe that this hyperfixation on Millie's candy was likely triggered through anomalous means during the SCP-5986 incident witnessed by the Hamptons, in much the same way that Leah suffered an instant compulsion to seek out Millie's candy shop after hearing details of its location. Researchers are currently still uncertain, however, as to why the same compulsions weren't
the
exhibited by
candy's
Sarah
grown from plants.
Hampton and Paula Gallagher, who were also present to witness the SCP-5986 event involving the newborn Stein. Although many researchers have expressed their relief that this wasn't the case, as had all three witnesses been compelled to find Millie's candy shop, this would have resulted in a newly delivered infant being left completely isolated without the presence of an adult, only moments after being born. During the next part of
that
their
wasn't
exchange,
bad.
possibly still under some kind of mesmeric or cognitohazardous anomalous influence, Leah Hampton requested a sample of the advertised zero-calorie candy. She was presented with a small pack of gummy bears by Millie and instructed to give them a taste test. Noting that these were her favorite type of candy, Leah obliged and opened the packet. She retained at least some level of awareness of the laws of physics in spite of her current situation, as evidenced by her reaction to what happened next. The candy reportedly began floating weightlessly out of Leah's hand. Even when she tried intentionally dropping them, gravity simply did not act on the gummy bears, and they remained suspended in the air. Millie chimed in to offer the explanation that her products still naturally follow the digestive tract when eaten and pose no risk of being stuck inside the body during or after consumption. Without hesitating, Leah then quickly ate the anomalous confectionery and was instantly enamored with them. She then proceeded to buy several large boxes of the candy, justifying the bulk purchase with how reasonably they were priced and as a means to fulfill Sarah's post-pregnancy cravings. It is unclear how many boxes Leah purchased or how. The SCP Foundation has been, as of yet, unable to recover the anomalous candy despite making several sweeps of the Hampton residence. It is entirely possible that Leah Hampton consumed all of the gummy bears she bought, and her health is being monitored by
Freaking
Foundation
awesome.
agents embedded in the local area
All
for any
natural
adverse
candy.
anomalous
I
side
mean,
effects.
Yeah, but like,
An examination of her financial records
I don't know, I'd
does
be
show an
spooked.
unusual charge made to her bank account. However, no amount or recipient account is listed. Further investigation by Foundation computer experts has been unsuccessful in tracing this transaction to any business account anywhere in the world. Having purchased a large supply of anomalous candy, the store and its owner simultaneously vanished, leaving Leah standing alone in the woods, carrying her boxes of gummy bears. In her blog post later, she emphasized how good the candy she had eaten was and encouraged her readers, the Y-landers, to seek out Millie's Candy Shop for themselves. Having successfully wiped the post to Rhode Wyland from the internet, the SCP Foundation's agents were able to make contact with the Hampton family and administer them with amnestics. Following the directions that Leah had used to locate Millie's Candy Shop, agents were unable to uncover anything of note, despite several days spent scouring the nearby forest where the anomalous store had manifested. Millie's Candy Shop
it
itself has been designated as SCP-5986-1, and investigation into the exact whereabouts and anomalous transportation of the storefront is still ongoing. No other recorded instances of SCP-5986 events have included locational information, although the Foundation has advised its agents embedded inside Rhode Island maternity centers to advertise their services for home births. The working theory among some researchers was that this was the key determining factor in why the Hamptons received directions for locating SCP-5986-1, and that the store only manifests once directions have been given. The hope is that recreating the same circumstances will offer a chance for the SCP Foundation to actually locate Millie's Candy Shop and intervene with its anomalous operations. That would have been the case had it not been for another incident that took place on May 23, 2020. Reports came in from a Foundation agent stationed at a post office in Hope, Rhode Island, who had discovered that hundreds of letters had suddenly manifested within a postbox they'd been in the process of emptying at the time. Further inspection revealed that the letters were all addressed to parents of children that had experienced an SCP-5986 event. Each was identical and read as follows: "Sad news, pals. Millie's Candy Shop is closing. That's right, now you'll have to settle for candy with calories. Isn't that just disgusting? I'd love to stay open and continue sating your cravings with my zero-sugar treats, but candy shops need business, and I simply wasn't getting any, despite all of my top-notch advertising. Perhaps it's because someone scared all my customers away. Have fun making your teeth rot, and remember, dentists are always watching." These letters were signed, "Your dearest ex-candy maker, Millie." Since this incident,
Poor
the
Millie.
Foundation has received no reports of SCP-5986 incidents from any of its agents stationed in Rhode Island.
Wait,
This has
that's
led the
actually kinda
phenomenon to be
sad.
considered for reclassification to neutralized. The crowbar, bearing a bloody handprint, clatters to the soft earth below. Not long ago, this same crowbar had been striking against the side of an unassuming house, but it would not get the chance to unleash another blow. The two vandals, wielding a spray can and a hammer, respectively, stare on in horror at the terrible fate befalling their friend. The third vandal, who had been holding the crowbar until moments ago, is seizing and spasming, his feet suspended a foot above the ground. A large, organic
this is why
tendril is
vandalism
impaling him
doesn't
through the
pay,
chest,
kids.
rendering him a human
But I do feel
shish
bad
kebab,
about Millie and her
his
candy
shirt
shop.
soaking through with blood. The tendril is emerging like some organic appendage from the outer wall of a nearby home, the ultimate security system.
All she
But
wanted
the
to do
horror
was
isn't
share
over.
her
As though in a
homegrown
nightmare,
candy
they
with
find
people.
themselves frozen to the floor. But it isn't just fear. They look down and see that roots are growing up through their shoes, up through their feet. They are
Millie
quite
was
literally
kinda hot.
rooted to the floor.
Banned!
He's rotting,
Banned!
decomposing at impossible speeds.
Go read the
The
Bible.
tendril impaling the decomposing vandal recedes into the wall,
Go read
taking
the Bible.
vandal with it, absorbing him. As the vandal is absorbed,
Go
the
sit in a
cracks he'd
corner
made in
and
the
read
wall
the
with
Bible.
his crowbar
Bad.
seem to repair themselves like a healing wound. His matter, perhaps even
Also,
his
did
very
you not
soul,
see how
has
fucking
become one with the
Picasso-y
village
her
that he had
face
once aimed to
was?
desecrate. The vandals had never expected the village to fight back. With the former crowbar wielder dispatched, the village turns its attention to the other two vandals. The one holding the
No.
spray paint can is the first one to go. The ground puckers around his feet, the roots gripping tight and dragging him into the earth like quicksand. He screams for his friend to help him, but the dirt soon chokes out his words. Even if the only surviving vandal wasn't also
Why,
rooted
'cause
to the
he's
floor,
married?
there
Yes,
was nothing he
that
could have
too.
done to save his rapidly sinking friend. As the spray can vandal is consumed by
What?
the earth, the vandal with the hammer feels a surge of adrenaline
You were
coursing through his
laughing.
vital
What?
systems. With tremendous force, ignoring the terrible pain it causes him, he yanks his feet away from the roots, some roots being pulled from the earth, others yanked out of his feet. His shoes filling with blood, he turns and runs towards the edge of the village. Even though he's lost his friends, if he gets out, he can tell people, he can stop all this. But he doesn't count on the houses around him developing another modification. Strange organic sphincters that spit out small bone-like darts at high speeds, sticking into the vandal's back.
She had a nice
Some
rack and
unknowable
sexy legs.
chemical leaches
Go
from the
read
darts
the
into the vandal's
Bible.
muscles.
Read the Word
paralyzing
of
him.
God.
He collapses to the ground, foaming at the mouth, as another long tendril reaches out, grabs him by his wounded
You
feet,
should ask him what
and
he
drags
got for
him back
Valentine's
to the
Day.
village. There's a price that needs to be
I
paid.
shudder to ask,
Since its
old fart,
discovery,
what
the
did you
SCP
get for
Foundation has assigned the
Valentine's Day?
designation of SCP-1135 to an anomaly located in an unnamed village in India. Any name historically associated with the isolated village, as well as its exact location, have been stricken from all public records and redacted even within the Foundation's own database. All previous residents living within the area prior to its acquisition by the Foundation have since been expelled from the area,
An
relocated, and
STD.
rehomed, as well as
Very
provided with
funny,
sufficient
as if.
doses of amnestics to prevent knowledge about SCP-1135 reaching the public. The area surrounding
That
SCP-1135
is
is noted
not
as
true.
having
I
a few
didn't think it was.
irregularities for a village in this particular region of India. The houses of the village are built around a Hindu temple, as well as local places of commerce. However, researchers have noted the usual structure of the buildings as being inconsistent with other Indian architecture. For one, the roads leading into and through the village, and for 2 kilometers around it, are fully paved with asphalt concrete. In addition, the houses are much larger than those found elsewhere in the region, and show signs of being constructed using far more technologically advanced
You're going
methods
on
and
vacation.
materials
Oh,
that are
yes, I
seen
remember
even in
you
neighboring
talking about
townships.
that.
Each building in the vicinity of SCP-1135 is furnished with running hot and cold water, working electricity, and sewerage, all of which are considered uncommon in the area. Though the Foundation has conducted extensive research in and around the village, personnel have been unable to determine exactly how the electricity is able to reach these buildings. There is no functional infrastructure, as is seen in places that are provided power via electrical grids, nor is there any form of rudimentary system in the area generating electricity. Researchers have been unable to locate any form of generator that could be powering the village's homes, and it has been
I'll be honest, guys. I'm really tired and I'd like to go to bed now.
So go to bed.
You go to bed.
I'm not tired.
Anyways, so I'm gonna go to bed so I can wake up nice and bright and early so I can get to work and all that good stuff. You too? Alright. So good night, everyone. Remember to stay out of traffic, stay out of small spaces you can get trapped in. Stay hydrated. Electricity and sewer is uncommon in most of India. Yes, but it's especially uncommon in poorer areas of India. Stay hydrated. Stay feral. Have an awesome possum night. You're all awesome. I love you all. I'll hang out with you guys next week since I won't be here Thursday because I have a birthday party to go to. Good night, everybody. Most of India is poor? I mean, that's not entirely true, but yeah, a lot of